Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever it is that you are and wherever you may be. Thank you very much for making us a part of your day. I am Brad Franklin, a creative content writer here in Chesterfield. I'm very glad to tell you that Chesterfield Behind the Mic is on the air once again. Now, it is fall. There are leaves everywhere. If you're like me, you're breaking leaves all the time. And with fall comes the chance that, the opportunity for the holidays and things that are coming up. And it's funny because you kind of can't just wait for them to arrive. You sort of have to go toward them. And if you want to get involved this holiday season, there's a lot that you can do. And we're going to give you some information today on how to do that. I am very happy to be able to do this, this version of the show or this episode of the show every year. I think it's really important to get involved in the community, especially during the holiday season. So first, we're going to talk to Dawn McCoy, who is the executive director of CHASM. Let's see, I want to make sure I get this right. The Chesterfield Colonial Heights Alliance for Social Ministry.
Yes.
Dawn, welcome back to the program. How are you?
I'm fine, Brad. Thanks for having me back.
Very glad to have you. Obviously, last year we did a show where we brought you on. We talked about Thanksgiving meals and that kind of stuff. And I think that as we were just getting started, right, that was a big moment for us because it was a real good opportunity for us to get folks involved in the community. And before we get going and talking about how people can get involved this holiday season, I want to start real quick with sort of, for those who maybe didn't see that episode last year, to talk a little bit about sort of what your group does and how you got involved in it, and what some of the things are that you guys do throughout the year, not just at Thanksgiving, but in a general sense.
Yes, thank you, Brad. CHASM is a 34-year-old organization. We provide emergency food, financial assistance, women's career clothing, and the annual Thanksgiving program. We started as a coalition of churches coming together with local agencies and businesses to serve the community and fill that unmet need.
And then how was it that you came to be involved with the group?
Absolutely. I've been on the team several years now, and it was an opportunity for me to really get involved personally, having been a person with lived experience and being able to really be on the ground. It was an opportunity for me to come in and help people in a real way.
Right. Now, the Thanksgiving meal program, where would that sort of rank in terms of what you guys do? Is it the biggest piece? Is this like the Super Bowl of y'all's year? In terms of like everything sort of gears up for this season. How does that fit into the mission and sort of the overall programming you guys provide?
Absolutely. Our Thanksgiving program is our annual big event. We do year-round wraparound services, but the Thanksgiving program is really the greatest way that we reach people, provide a meal, and really get them additional resources in hand.
Right. Now, in terms of the program itself, what's your reach at this point? I know it's grown over the years. I'm just curious from both in terms of the amount of folks who are involved, as well as the amount of good you're able to do with the program. How would you sort of define or describe the reach and the growth that you've seen these last few years?
Absolutely. We're across 3 counties and 3 different jurisdictions. So with Petersburg, Colonial Heights, Hopewell.
Okay.
And so with Dinwiddie, Chesterfield, and reaching out to Prince George, we've reached 3,100 meal bags were out last year. That's about 10 to 15,000 people who were reached with a meal.
Okay.
We had about 400 volunteers last year, and we're working across a lot of businesses. So several hundred people involved.
Cool. Now, in terms of your planning process, when do you really get geared up? When, for lack of a description, when do the elves really start working on the toys? Right.
Absolutely.
What's that time frame like for you guys?
We get started as soon as June and July.
Oh, wow.
We are getting everything outlined, ready to go out with mailers, correspondence, preparing obviously for our annual sponsorships, and working collaboratively with our partners.
Right. There are a lot of different ways that people can get involved, and we'll go through that in a second. I'm just curious, from your experience, did the pandemic sort of change the way people were getting involved? Did they used to do it this way and now it's more that way? Or have you just seen sort of a steady as she goes sort of process through that whole thing?
It did change the way that we provide our meals. So we were doing a walkthrough for meal pickup.
Right.
We started to do a drive-through format, a Chick-fil-A format, if you will.
Okay.
At the height of the pandemic around 2020, we were able to distribute multiplying numbers of people in that format. Our volunteers still came out. We were very surprised to see people still being able to be on site and to help. And now we are continuing to do that sort of in this new phase of getting out meals.
So let's take me through some of the specifics here. So let's say I'm somebody and I want to donate actual goods, right? How do I go about getting those goods to you, and what kind of goods should people be thinking about when they want to make their donations?
Well, thank you. We are doing a traditional meal bag.
Okay.
So it is non-perishable food items, canned foods, canned fruits and vegetables, boxed mashed potatoes, gravy, and other items. We do have on our webpage, chasm.org/meal donate, where people provide either financial support or they can actually pledge meal bags that they would like to bring and drop off to us.
Cool. And they drop them off at where your drop-off locations?
Yes, the drop-off is at the county fairgrounds,
Okay.
the exhibition hall. We have that November the 14th and 15th.
Okay.
We'll have basically from 9 a.m. on through 6 and 7 p.m. respectively each day to receive meal bags. People come with trucks, they bring cars, they bring all the information. Sometimes it's just maybe a pallet of food.
Right.
They may bring bags already ready-made.
Right. Now, in terms of the drop-off, how many volunteers do you have that work that?
The volunteers are throughout the week, November 14th through the 19th. The actual big event is on Saturday the 19th.
Gotcha.
So we have several hundred people who will sign up every day, come in, work a couple of hours. It's part of their work or community service.
Right.
Congregations, groups, and families
Right.
come in as well.
Right.
And so it is a big event putting together both for traditional packing, sorting, and assembling of the bags.
Right.
We go through and check expiration dates.
Okay.
We're having people go through and QC what's in the bag.
Right.
And then when we go to actual distribution, it's people putting those bags into the cars, as well as we do have a bilingual Spanish language
great.
line.
Good.
So people can come through there as well.
So there are multiple ways, I guess, then for people to actually volunteer with your group. It's either you could volunteer to donate, right? You can get involved that way. Or, if you want to be one of those folks who helps out, you certainly can. I'm guessing that you don't turn people away, even though it's, as folks see this, it's a little bit after November. So, I mean, you're only a couple of weeks shy at this point of where when that event takes place. But I'm guessing that you would take as many helping hands as you can get.
Absolutely. Helping hands and caring hearts. We appreciate all the people who can bring in a meal bag. We have some volunteers who go back to the grocery store before their shift
Right.
and bring a meal bag with them.
Oh, great.
So we absolutely welcome that and welcome people to come in and help out.
Now, let's talk a little bit about, actually, one thing I wanted to note real quick is you guys did add DoorDash this year,
Yes,
if
we
I remember. Take me through sort of what was the thought process there and how that works.
Yes, the thought process was in years past, we've had people who show up and don't have a ride
Whoa.
to get there.
Right.
They maybe have someone bring them. They've come in an Uber ride. Some people who are barely just able to get there. And even after the event, people who were not able to get there. And so we being able to have in correspondence with DoorDash an opportunity to add a new feature to our program, delivery within the 10-mile radius of the Chesterfield County Fairgrounds, and 3 stipulations. They must be someone who doesn't have transportation, they might be someone who has a person with disabilities in their home or themselves,
Okay.
Or they're someone who's over 65.
Gotcha.
So we're expecting more reach. We are doing a year-round DoorDash delivery for our food pantry program, so that's been working out well.
Great. So then it sounds like you guys have a lot of different avenues and a lot of different things. I want to spend a couple minutes and just talk a little bit about sort of the folks who are receiving the meals. I think it's, we think of, the holidays and we have this idea in our head of like volunteering, but it's always good, I think, for folks to understand sort of who they're actually helping and who are the people that are receiving those donations. I'm just curious if you can tell me a little bit about sort of who receives the meals and how that process works for how you guys connect with them to do that.
Absolutely. Our meal is provided for those who come through social services agencies. So we do work in tandem with our local partners. We do work with those individuals in area nonprofits who are being served. People who meet that poverty threshold are being served. And we're able to reach more people readily, I would say, by making sure that we're getting flyers out in the community, working with our churches and others.
Right. And now, for folks who, let's say there are folks who want to help out, who want to do some good, but maybe volunteering that time or even dropping off the meal bag isn't necessarily the way that they wanted to do it. You do a donation online. Basically, folks are able to sort of donate monetarily. And I'm just curious if you've seen an uptick in that and how that process works for folks who want to get involved in that way.
Absolutely. We have seen through the pandemic an uptick in financial donations where people will go to chasm.org/meal donate and they will make sure that they get financial service support that way.
Right.
The other is that we do have people who do a DIY.
Okay.
So they're doing a bag meal packed at home, and then someone from their church will come pick up those bags or their community. We have teams, businesses, who will get everyone together in their respective areas.
Right.
And we've actually engaged some of our schools recently where the young people are helping to decorate bags or bring in an item to contribute to a meal bag. So there's lots of ways to get involved.
Good deal. Now, for those folks who still like, and if you don't feel comfortable going to the website and putting in, donation information, let's say you wanted to send a check, you wanted to send something to actually physically. I want to make sure I get this right. You can donate by mail. It's P.O. Box 1741, Chesterfield, Virginia 23832. My guess is at this point, Martin has put that on the screen so that you're able to see it. From a, distribution of donation standpoint, how much stuff do you get via mail versus what you get online? I'm guessing that it's smaller, but it's probably still a pretty decent amount.
It still is, actually. And remarkably, because of the pandemic, people have found ways to be able to be of support.
Right.
Providing those meal bags in mass. They'll call us up and say, I have 75 meal bags to drop off next Monday. We've had now a new request of people saying, we come and pick up the bags?
Right.
And so that's a new caveat and opportunity to serve more people, because people, like you say, may or may not be able to be out to volunteer at jasm.org/volunteer, but they may be able to help in some other way by doing that at home.
Right. All right. Last thing before I let you go. I think in these situations, it's always great to think about, the opportunities for folks to get involved, but it probably is not a bad idea to sometimes tell people what not to do. Right, what not to pack, what not, and you guys are obviously with the meal bags, it seems pretty straightforward, but I just figured I'd give you an opportunity to sort of, if you have any sort of thing you see often that you would like to see less kind of situation, if there are specific instructions that you can give to folks about, helping out and volunteering and getting involved. I'm just curious if there's anything out there that you'd like to share from that standpoint.
Thank you. One of the stipulations we have, interestingly enough, is that because we are packing paper bags with food, we do not want to have any glass jars.
Okay.
That is problematic, as you can imagine.
Right.
And so we ask for people who are providing a gravy. There are the packets of gravy that can be purchased easily and put into the bags. The second is that when people go to purchase in bulk, one of the challenges we have is that they open up the packages and then break them into pieces. We can't check the expiration date and verify. And so we want to make sure we're providing something high quality and acceptable for our friends and neighbors in need. And so certainly if they could donate the entire box in bulk, then we can go ahead and distribute that accordingly.
Right. Now, see, the jar thing was kind of what I was thinking. I never would have thought about the second one, so I'm really glad I gave you that opportunity because that one was a new one on me. So that's a really good point. Dawn, thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Brad.
We're now joined by Bonnie Carthorne, who is the Chesterfield Colonial Heights Christmas Mother for 2022. Bonnie, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me this morning.
I am very glad to have you. Very much appreciate you coming on the show. Obviously, one thing, as I talked to you off air just a minute ago, Dawn gets to be the, person who comes on here with the Christmas Mother program by nature. It's a new person every year. So I want to talk a little bit about first, before we get into the ins and outs, how it is that you came to be in that chair today talking about the 2022 Christmas Mother program. And I'm just curious, how was it that you got involved? Have you been involved for a long time? How did this process work for you?
I have been involved a long time. It started with my local church, and I represented the Christmas Mother, if you will, to the congregation, gathered the presents and delivered them. Well, actually, my husband delivered them. That was always his job. And then from there, my neighbor introduced me to the committee.
Okay.
And so first or second meeting, I kind of volunteered to take over PR.
Okay.
And that was 9.5 years ago, and here I am. So
So in 9.5 years, did you envision that someday you would be the Christmas Mother, or was that something that sort of just happened over time?
it kind of happened. And then a few years back, I realized that 2022 would be our 50th anniversary.
Okay.
And I thought, well, what a fun year to do that. I love to celebrate. I love Christmas. So we've done some extra special things this year. And it's just been an honor to represent the group.
That's fun. All right. I just randomly have two follow-up questions that I'm just curious about. One, how soon, like when did you find out that you were going to be the Christmas Mother? And how, like, is there a smokestack somewhere that billows the white smoke to say there's been a new Christmas Mother chosen? Like, how does that process work?
We have a nominating committee.
Okay.
And to be perfectly honest, I knew before Christmas of last year.
Okay.
We officially announced it in March at our March meeting to the world, if you will, for what that's worth. And no, this is a very working royal position, if you will, so there's no white smoke.
Well, let's talk about the work that does go into it. Obviously, you know, it's primarily a Christmas, as the name implies, right? A Christmas oriented endeavor, but there's a lot of work that goes into it well before that. When do you guys start to really, you mentioned that you announced it in March, but when does the rubber start to really meet the road in anticipation of Christmas?
Our toy buyer starts on December 26th.
Wow.
Right after we after the center closes, we'll pack up. We get kind of a 2 or 3 week respite then.
Right.
But
Santa goes to sleep, takes a nap.
Kind of, yes, yes. And so it is really a 365 operation now. We're working on social media. We're working for sponsors. We did a lot of fun Christmas in July events this year, which took some planning and doing. And then, of course, our auction, which is on November 12th, also takes a lot of work. So those folks start midsummer, I would say. There's always something going on.
Right.
So.
And in the 9.5 years that you've been involved, how have you seen the program change? And now that you are the Christmas Mother, what's that different angle, that different viewpoint? What's it been like for you? Well,
I have to say the first thing is not necessarily change, but the generosity of both Chesterfield and Colonial Heights. The people in this community, it gives me goosebumps right now. They're just so generous. So that to me is the consistent thing that I love.
Right.
Of course, toy wishes always change year to year.
Right.
As do books and toy and clothing has really changed, I think, in 9.5 years of what young people are asking for.
Right.
But I think there's more consistencies than there are changes. Just that generosity, the hard work of this committee, the commitment, the perseverance. I mean, as I've said in many presentations, not even a worldwide pandemic kept this committee from sharing the magic of Christmas with our neighbors. And that's just what it's all about, sharing the magic.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of, you mentioned the kids. I'm just curious, as folks are thinking about maybe getting involved this Christmas season and doing stuff, whether that's making donations and what have you, who can you tell me a little about what's the process by which the kids, sort of connect with you guys, or how you connect with them? Is it through social services, or what's the sort of mechanism by which you guys connect with the kids who ultimately receive those items?
DSS is a very strong partner of ours. We do applications mid-September for a week, I'd say 5 days. And through social media, website, etc., DSS, other church-related organizations, folks will come to the come to the center at the fairgrounds, fill out an application, and from that point, they are mostly approved. I think we had a handful of folks that weren't approved this year.
Okay.
The main thing is to live in Chesterfield and Colonial Heights, of course.
Right.
And then once that's happened, the numbers are all calculated by the coordinators. Those numbers go out to toys, books, and clothing, as well as the folks that do the food gift cards, and the process starts. We also like to start doing sponsorships. So if anyone in the community would like to sponsor a child or family and an elder, we have those opportunities still available. We're hoping for a goal of 500 this year, which is about 40% of our total group.
Okay.
And it's really a great way to connect with a family and to give something special at Christmas time.
Yeah, right.
I was thinking the other day, Brad, if everybody that had children gave one less present to their child and one to somebody in need, what a magical thing that would be. And
absolutely.
I doubt the child would miss that one present.
But it would mean so much to that other. Yeah, I totally understand.
And it's such a great lesson. I think that's one of the things that I've tried to do this year is really help encourage and mentor young people to give. We've got a church youth group that's putting together all the elder bundles for us. We have 2 soccer teams that collected soccer balls, which was just too much fun. I mean, there were 29 soccer balls delivered last Monday morning to my home.
That's awesome.
And that's one of the big requests we get, is soccer balls. So that was fun. So I think there's lots of ways to teach young people to give back, because we have so much. Yeah.
Now let's talk a little bit about sort of how people can get involved, what they can do. There seems like there's multiple levels, right? You can donate monetarily, I believe, right?
Correct.
You can purchase items that you then come to the fairgrounds and drop off. you can sponsor a family. Am I missing anything in there? Or talk to me about sort of those multiple levels of how people can sort of get involved this Christmas.
Right. You hit the highlights.
Right.
You can sponsor a family. We always love money. I'm not going to deny that. We're a nonprofit. Money is good. There's our Amazon wish list.
Oh, okay.
That is
Good
a
point.
great way to buy an item or two, or as many as your heart desires. We also have a special elf that puts together families on the Amazon wish list. So
Okay.
if you wanted to adopt a family and not leave your sofa, you can go
all that,
right there,
right.
click the button. It gets delivered to our local North Pole, and all of that is brought to the center
Okay.
Christmas for the Christmas distribution. Right now, we are selling tickets for our auction. That's a
Right.
great way to get involved.
Right.
We also have a sign-up genius on the website.
Okay.
www.cchchristmasmother.com.
Yes.
For many shifts, there's a 2-week period that we really turn the fairgrounds into just distribution central. And so there's lots of opportunities to come out and help families shop or load cars or direct traffic or all kinds of things.
Right.
So it's a good way to do that.
Now, in terms of impact, it's hard to really know sort of what the impact is on the lives. But I'm just curious from a number standpoint, how many you mentioned 29 soccer balls, and it cued my thought here is like how much stuff did you guys donate last year? I'm guessing there's some sort of way for you to sort of put some framing on it. But how much donation are you expecting? How many donations are you expecting to receive this year?
Boy, that's a tough question. I can tell you that we touched the lives of 4,000 children,
Okay.
about 200 elders. Each child will receive a large toy and a couple of small toys.
Okay.
An outfit, jeans or a sweatshirt.
Okay.
I always say because we're Christmas moms, they get underwear and socks because that's a traditional present. Many books. The book committee just is all about literacy and anywhere from 8 to 12 books per child, which is great.
Right.
They also get gift cards for food for Christmas dinner.
Okay.
So I've never really calculated how that all equates, but it would be a boatload of stuff.
Well, see, my thought process was like, I wonder how many tons of stuff it actually is, but it has to, it's a significant amount. I'm curious then, how many volunteers roughly?
Oh gosh, several hundred if you don't count the committee.
Right.
I mean, there's several hundred that help at the fairgrounds just that 2 weeks, and then there was probably at least 100 people that were at applications that helped. So
the reason I ask is because I was trying to give people a kind of a feel of scope.
Right.
What's it look like to be involved, and how many people are there with you, and then what's the impact, right? How many, you mentioned the number of kids and the number of elders. I'm just curious as you go into this, as we wrap up, what's it mean to you to be involved in this program and to be the Christmas Mother for the 50th anniversary?
it means that we're planting seeds of hope and goodness and joy, which sounds a little idyllic, I guess, in this crazy world we live in, but I know it matters. I've had the opportunity this year to run into some people that were served when they were younger. And the stories they've shared have just been so heartwarming. And now here it is 20, 25, 30 years later, and they want to give because they knew what it meant to them. I don't think any of us know what it's like to wonder if Santa's going to visit.
Right.
But sharing that hope, I think, is what we all need to do.
Good deal. All right, so you can donate online, as you mentioned, cchchristmasmother.com. You can also donate by mail, and I'm reading this to make sure I get it right. Chesterfield Colonial Heights Christmas Mother, P.O. Box 2500, Chesterfield 23832, and you can also give a call, 804-748-1183 if you have any questions or you need any more information or anything like that. Bonnie, thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Make sure you can check us out on social media. On Twitter, it's at Chesterfield VA. On Instagram, it's Chesterfield Virginia, all one word. And on Facebook, you can check out our podcast page. Just search Chesterfield Behind the Mic. Make sure to like that page so you can keep up with us as we go forward. Now, let me tell you about all the ways you can check us out. You can watch us on our YouTube channel as well as on our website at chesterfield.gov/podcast. An audio-only version of the show is available there, as well as on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, and a whole host of other services. You can also watch the show on WCCT Thursday through Sunday at 7 and on the weekends at noon. That's Comcast Channel 98 and Verizon Channel 28. And lastly, you can check out chesterfield.gov/connect with us for more information on how you can get in touch with us and we can get in touch with you. My thanks to my director, Martin Stith. my executive producer, Teresa Boniface, and all the good folks here in Communications Media who make this possible. My thanks to you for joining us today. So, from all of us here in Chesterfield, thank you very much for making us a part of your day. We'll see you again real soon. Take good care.